Welcome, everybody. This is the All In podcast. I'm here with Josh Wooldridge.
Here comes the money.
And the man who's had an awesome FPL week, as always, Alex Doyle.
Yeah, as always. Hiya, John.
How was everyone? Have a good weekend?
Yeah, it was absolutely fantastic, mate. How about yours?
Yeah, it was good, yeah. Me and the missus went to Bath, treated her to a little getaway. Strategically planned, so it was Sunday and today, so that I got all the football in on Saturday. So yeah, it was good.
Doyle?
Yeah, had better, FPL wise particularly, but it's all fun and games. It's all fun and games in this world.
Oh God, this is going to be a sad one, I think, from the sound of that response there.
I can't wait to get stuck into it. Exciting news as well, possibly, is it, Doyle? Yeah, regarding FPL.
I wouldn't say exciting. I'd say emergency measures have been implemented at the Doyle FPL.
Desperate, pure desperation.
Emergency situation.
Emergency measures are underway.
Okay, shall we get fired away then? And Doyle, do you want to do the honours and do your slides and soundboards and whatever you got planned?
Yeah, it'll pop up on the screen for everyone else. You can't see shit, but everyone else will be able to see it nice and clear, so that's good.
Yeah, I frantically searched on my phone to see everyone's points and to see the teams this week that we've sent in our group chat and stuff. I have no idea what's going on, but hopefully we get there in the end.
Yeah. Should we start with my game week? Because I just want it out of the way. I never want to look at this bunch of absolute clowns ever again in my life. It's just been one disaster after the next, these first 4 game weeks. 44 points this week, a game week rank of 8.5 million. I think that's probably my worst ever. I think it's got to be my worst ever, right?
Well, yeah, I don't think there's been more than 9 million people play since this year, so it's good.
It's a new low. It's good.
But even in like 20 years of the game launching, it's probably one of the worst ever game weeks like anyone could ever have had.
Yeah, it's just not been good. I mean,
anyway, carry on.
Well, good old Danny Ward held up the sticks in net. Another point for Danny. Was what we love to see. We had Mr. Yao Cancelo have his usual 1 pointer as well. He's still allergic to the opposition half this season. After I made a bet pre-season, he'd score 20 attacking returns.
Yeah, exactly. But just look at that midfield, though, mate. I mean, it's unbelievable, isn't it?
Well, we'll start. Well, we're not there yet, mate. Jesus, we're not gone that far. We got Mr. Aitnori, who decided to.
He got a game for you this week, yeah.
And if they'd have kept the clean sheet, and he wasn't on the pitch, I wasn't doing the pod. It just wasn't happening. I wasn't turning up.
You're actually quite lucky in that sense, I suppose.
I know. I got Nathan Patterson on to deputise a solid 2 points. Beat Nico, so can't ask for much more. Robertson 9, which looks good, but obviously comparing him to Trent, it's another disaster. Then we got the midfield trio, the midfield quintuple, who got a combined 0 attacking returns between them, between Andreas, Neto, Son, who again probably a bigger disaster than Danny Ward actually, Martinelli, Mo Salah, not my captain, so did enjoy that one. And then just the usual Haaland and Jesus captain.
So you didn't captain Son, but obviously you captained Haaland then, yeah?
No, I captained Jesus.
Oh, shit. Sorry.
Yeah, I went for the guy who got 1 point instead. Out of the 4. There you go.
Just to clarify.
Yeah, just to clarify. So, yeah, not the best game week ever, but, we move.
Do we want to linger on Doyle's team or should we move on? I'm up for lingering, but,
Well, I mean, one little personal anecdote I would like to say is the fact that me and Doyle were actually celebrating this week after the 3 p.m. was finished on Saturday. We couldn't have been happier with what had happened at 3 p.m. literally. I mean, when we reflected a little bit, I don't think it had gone that well for him, but it was just that Salah had blanked in a 9-0. We were obviously absolutely loving that.
I mean, there was a lot of hope at that point. I had my captain to come up next. I had Son. It's not in Forest. I had the 2 Wolves players. It's Newcastle, which, to be fair, I didn't have much hope for, but yeah, still wasn't a great day. And it's just shown like the fringes of my team have just been a disaster. Son's been a disaster. And
The
those
core's been a disaster.
So it's, yeah.
Because
Yeah,
the game,
basically. Go on,
the
John,
game revolves so heavily around the captain, doesn't it? Can make or break your week.
Well,
So obviously with Salah blanking and you
Yeah.
still having Jesus in the 5:30 game,
Yeah.
you must have been absolutely loving it.
The best cap for how long? The last 4 weeks I've been saying it should be perma cap, and I don't do it. And yeah.
As you alluded to, you and Josh was out having a few drinks, and I'm in a few WhatsApp groups with you. And it was around about 5:15, was it, that there was a slow stream of videos incoming where there was shots, Mo Salah songs, tequila rosés were flying, Jaeger bombs come 10 minutes later, and then it just sort of died out in the evening, didn't it?
We were doing celebratory songs. We thought we'd won the game at that point on Saturday. Me and Doyle did. We thought it was all over because Doyle still had 5 to play, as he said. He had his captain to play, plus Martinelli, 2 Wolves, which halved, unfortunately, and then his most expensive asset, Son. So it was all fun and games at that point. It was absolutely amazing. I mean, obviously, we can transition into mine in a second after we've ripped him for a few more minutes. But we were both just happy because he hadn't captain Salah. I don't think you did either, JB, did you? Or did you?
Yeah, no, captain Salah.
Oh, you would have. Of course you would have. Sorry.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you capped him. I didn't have him, obviously, because I just shot against it randomly. And so I was the happiest of the bunch, obviously. But yeah, I think even though Doyle, you took 2 FTs into this week, didn't you, Doyle, into the one coming up? But
yeah, I mean,
I don't think it was enough, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I've been having a close look at the number of players on FPL in the last day or so, and it's actually like one of the best times in FPL history, in my opinion. There's so many good picks you can choose from, and it's amazing how none of them are in my team. It's really good to choose 10. I guess 8 players. You know, you minus the ones that everyone's got that are just all crap. It's quite special. It's special what I've done in this pre-season. So
yeah, and this is like a team structure thing because obviously you went for the threemium, and I think it was the threemium, i.e. Son as the third one, that has meant the edges are so terrible because you've just got so many 4
it's just the wrong edges. You could hit it. Like if I'd have gotten Kane instead of Son and gotten some of the edges better. I mean, there's so many edge picks I could have gone for. It could have been I could be flying, but no, Son over Kane was a disaster, and the edges were awful. Anyway, let's get this off the screen. I never want to look at that bunch of losers ever again in my life. They're gone. They're history. Let's move on to John's team.
Okay. There was more celebrations at that 5 o'clock than when Josh won a 200,000. To be honest, it was superb. Anyway, my team, not too bad. How many points in total was it? 77. So I was happy with that. That was slightly above what most people got. James done okay for me. Didn't keep a clean sheet, expected because we only had 10 men. But he still managed to get a couple of bonus and an assist, so that was good. Absolutely flying with Trent. He looked back to his best attacking wise. Done really well. Obviously Haaland hat trick. And Sanchez was probably the big one for me in terms of differential points to boost me up against the masses, I guess. So he was in goal, done really well, couple of bonus. And Diaz is the other one where obviously people got Robertson or Diaz generally on the triple up. And Diaz outperformed Robbo, even though Robbo did quite well. So quite happy with this week. Obviously Salah captain, but most people had that. But another decent week, so quite happy.
Yeah, it looks good, mate, as well. It seems like you're in a good place for the weeks coming up. Obviously, I think I saw a little rumour about Trippier today, I think. But
Yeah.
I'm guessing you would have benched him anyway. So
Yeah, he's first sub. I've got massive headaches with what to do in a good way. It's almost I've never done it, but I've got 2 free transfers. I'm not sure whether not to use one, or I'm flirting between using both, and then there's so many options, but it's not massively improving my team.
Anyway, but people who burn are just losers. It's just pathetic.
Yeah, no, I probably would do something. Saliba's coming in.
George would do that.
George would, yeah. So I can't fall into that category. But we'll talk about it when we get to next week's teams, or we'll say next week's, tomorrow's.
Yeah,
so Josh, how about you?
Oh, my favourite review of the season so far. Oh, this was really lucky, obviously, with the I don't know how many times I'm going to say 9-0 Salah blank this pod, but it's going to be a lot, I think.
Wasn't quite a blank. He got his midfield clean sheet point.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I will give him that, to be fair. He did triple Doyle's captain score, to be fair.
Yeah. It's pretty massive compared to Jesus.
But yeah, this honestly couldn't have gone well. Ironically, it could have. Well, I was being greedy on Sunday with Harry Kane, actually. But yeah, it couldn't have gone too much better on the Saturday, especially. I had Ward blank. That's just a locked-in 1 point every week. We're not worrying about that. That's fine. He's there for the season.
He ticks along over the season.
He's consistent.
38 game weeks. He'll get you 38 points, no doubt.
It's consistent. He's got 1-1-1-1 so far. Like, what more do you want from him? You know what you're going to get. Like, is any goalkeeper going to be expected 5 points to make it worth the hit? You know what I mean? Probably not. So, like, and the use of funds as well. So I'll just take my 1 point every week, and when that clean does come, I'm going to be the happiest man in the world. I promise you that. I absolutely promise you that.
We'll talk about it later, but I think it might be worth a hit. He's that bad.
Absolutely not. Have you, mate? The good fixtures are to come in a few weeks. Trust me. Trust me on this one.
Well, I think playing against 10 men for 70 minutes, I thought that would be a good fixture, but he still managed to chuck 2 in his own net. So.
Oh God! Let's hope Iverson comes in and starts delivering. Let's hope he comes into the team.
He might be even worse.
Yeah, he might be. He could well be, I think. So I had Zinchenko, who unfortunately didn't play. He had like a muscle strain, I think it was described as. I'm hoping he's back for tomorrow, but I'm eager to talk about that spot, whether I need to do the same as JB and get rid of Trippier, Zinchenko, whatever. I've got Cancelo 1 point. Then I've got the 2 big boy Liverpool defenders. So 17 from Trent, 9 from Robbo. Absolutely amazing. To complete the triple up, I've got Diaz. So I literally had the perfect 3 this week. I think that reasonable players would have. Obviously, Firmino went off, but like I think Diaz, Trent, and Robertson was the absolute jackpot this week. I had Saka, who outscored Martinelli for the first time of the season.
Well done.
We got a good one in there. There we go. It's a slightly lucky assist, but we won't talk about that. I had De Silva come on for Zinchenko. He got 2 points. He was my first sub. Andreas, I started consciously. He got 2 points. Not so good from him. But
unlucky though. He looked really good. He had a couple of chances to get more than that.
Yeah, I really like him as a pick. As I said the other week, I prefer him to be having him as first sub, I think, rather than having him starting every week. But if he comes on, it's definitely not the end of the world. And I think we're going to talk a bit more about rotation in a bit, actually, and how you might need that first slot in various weeks. And then to finish it off, I've got the big 3 up top. So I've got Jesus, Haaland, and Kane captain. So 20 from Kane, 10 doubled, 17 Haaland, 1 Jesus. We've seen that in all your teams, I think, those last 2. I was actually gutted when Harry Kane missed the penalty because I thought I'd lost my massive edge that I'd picked up from the Salah blank. At that point, Kane had gone back down to 4 points, which was an absolute disaster. Like, he was almost matching Salah. But then mine and Doyle's favourite player, Richarlison, put one on the line for him. So just for him to flick it into the empty net. So I owe Richarlison for that one, I think.
Yeah, I think you were a bit unlucky with Kane in a way, like you say, missing the penalty. It can't have been that good a week though, right, Josh? Because you captained Kane and Liverpool won 9-0 and everyone else captained Salah. So it must have been a pretty poor week, right?
Well, me and you, as John said, we'd had a few drinks, haven't we? So we saw Liverpool were winning 9-0. We thought he must have got at least 5, didn't we? Wow. We thought he scored at least 5, Salah has surely. And we kept checking the score. On Gillette Soccer Special, it was like slowly showing us who'd scored each goal. And each goal was like Carvalho, Tsimikas got a few assists, Harvey Elliott got 1 at 1 point. I think the reserve goalie came on and got 1 at 1 point. I think he got the 9th.
I think he'd have scored before Salah would have, yeah.
But this, like, I'm just surprised Liverpool's talisman didn't score in a 9-0 or assist. Like, maybe he was just like giving the others a chance. Maybe he was giving some of the younger players a chance to run forward. So maybe he was playing right back instead of Trent, actually, because he was quite far forward, wasn't he? So
it's crazy. What do you think the odds would have been? Like, if he was giving someone odds for Salah to know he plays 90 minutes, right? No assists, no goals in a 9-0 victory. You're looking at 100 to 1, I would have thought, surely.
I think I'd price that at 1,000 to 1, I think.
I wouldn't want to give someone... Yeah.
I wouldn't be offering that as the bookmaker, but like that's the odds I'd want as the better. You know what I mean? To
crazy
place the bet, yeah.
Pretty
unbelievable.
9-0 and not get a penalty.
That's another good point, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they had a referee in the second half. I think they just sent him out to play. I think it was one of the players' dads was the ref in the second half. I think so.
Yeah, running the line.
I do want to
No.
talk about Salah though. I think should we move into the next segment and start with him?
Let's do it.
Absolutely. What we calling it this week?
Have we got a drop as well?
Well, we do if you can introduce the name, John.
Well, it depends what we're still calling it these days, but I assume is it still fire and ice?
It's still
Yes.
fire and ice. The new series comes out as well. How on topic are we?
Yeah, exactly. Really good first episode. I ain't seen the second one yet.
Not seen the second one yet either, but
Yeah, I like the first one.
Trendy.
I mean, seriously, on Salah, like, okay, he was unlucky not to score. Well, he wasn't unlucky. He's crap. He missed an open net from a yard out. But even then, his XG was like 1.4, 1.5, right? Which was high. But in a 9-0, I mean, I'd expect more.
I mean, they finished every other chance, though, to be fair, didn't they? So
They did.
there weren't any other chances to go round. Every 2 minutes, they was putting the ball in the net. There was no other chances for opportunities, I guess. But it was just slicing through them at will, weren't they?
He's still not like, I mean, back in the day that you see Liverpool win 5-0, 6-0 against Watford, for instance, you'd expect Salah to have 4 goals. He was just so central to everything. That
I think it's just an outlier game now. I wouldn't, if I was, well, I am a Salah owner, I wouldn't worry too much about it. I'm not looking to transfer him out purely because he didn't get a return in that game. So,
well, just based on the evidence of the other 4 game weeks, but
no, I agree though. He hasn't actually played that well in any game, and like Josh says as well, he's been hugging the touchline a lot as well. So there is that too. But I still think he's going to return, and he has this season. I mean, he's still done really well in terms of points.
Oh, I'm not sure about that, John. He's I found a list of 20 players who have more points than him this season, actually, including Dean Henderson, Firmino, who's played 1 game. Yeah, I don't think he's doing so well for points for his value, for his price. I think he's doing quite badly, I would say. But yeah, obviously this 9-0 is quite like the outlier, like you say, and I wouldn't be selling him before Newcastle at home when he's one of the best caps again. I think, like, as in, if people are of the opinion that Haaland's not going to start, I think you're going to default to Salah again. And we'll see later what people are going to do. But yeah,
I wouldn't.
I think,
but except for the fact that Newcastle have so many injuries, it's just like, if they had a full strength team, I'd never go near that fixture. But with apparently Trippier, Bruno Guimaraes might be out, right? Wilson's out. Saint Maximin might be out. Suddenly that team's looking very, very thin. So,
are you of the opinion, Doyle, that I need to break up my team to bring him in? What do you think?
I'd be taking a -8, mate. I'd be taking a -8 and getting him straight in.
Yeah, this is the mad thing from last week. I missed this out in the review section, but the hit I was actually going to do, I was going to take out Diaz and Kane for Salah and Tony, and that would have actually cost me 30 points last week if I'd have taken out Diaz and Kane and lost the captaincy off Kane and changed it to 3-point Salah and 2-point Tony. I would have actually lost 30 points on 1 -4. Which,
if you stand back and you think, right, you're taking out Diaz and Kane, is that ever a good move? In hindsight, I don't think it is. Even before this weekend, they're just 2 great players.
Then Forest,
I wouldn't be hitting that either. So I think you made the right decision in the end.
No, and we've had the chat here, and I think if you only had 2 Liverpool players last week, I think bringing in Salah for a hit was probably the correct move, genuinely. So I think if you had the Liverpool slot, I think it would have made sense to maybe hit him in for the armband. But like when I've got Diaz, Trent, and Robertson, I would have had to hit one of those out to get to Salah. Now that's just nonsensical. They've got the same game, and added to that, Robertson, Trent, and Diaz are all half the price, and they're all better. So overall, I thought it was a good decision to keep those 3 anyway.
Do you think you ever will get Salah in?
I think it's a decision that I'm sort of forced to only make on Wildcard now, unless. So there is a discussion on Robertson, I think, which we might get onto that in a bit as well. I think this might be his last week for me, or if he rests this week, I might end up keeping him another week. I'm not sure, but yeah, I think I'm not losing Diaz and I'm not losing Trent anytime soon unless they get injured, because Diaz is essentially playing the same role as Salah, but for 5 million less, and he's playing more centrally, I would argue, at times. The only difference is the penalties, but I can live with that for 5 million, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Going into the season, that's exactly why I wanted Diaz, because I thought he was such good value for money. But as well as Salah, I still wanted Salah at the same time. But I agree with you on Diaz. He's superb and can match Salah without the penalties.
Yeah, I think obviously I know Doyle's got to do his where he fixes his team in a bit like that. We won't reveal what's happening, but it's pretty obvious probably by this point. But
It's a secret.
It's like Salah isn't in the captaincy discussion. If you're going with Haaland this week, I don't think Salah's in the captaincy discussion for a while, which means like, is he worth the money at that point if you're not going to captain him for 3 or 4 weeks or whatever? So that'll be an interesting one to come on to, I think.
Should we run through some names, Josh, for the segment?
Yeah, Salah, is he fire or ice?
Ice, baby.
Lukewarm. Can I have that?
Wow. Salah's biggest opponent in the world.
He's performing like ice, but I think if you go without, you'll get burnt. How's that?
That's a good line. That's
nice, isn't it? I like that.
Imagine if we had the other boys from our WhatsApp group. As we mentioned, we're in a league with about 50 other mates who we've been in for quite a few years. They'd all be like shouting fire, fire, fire at the screen right now because they all absolutely love Mo Salah. And I think they believe in possibly Santa Claus, maybe the Tooth Fairy as well, because I think they're using stats from 3 years ago to justify that he's still a good player. Whereas the 4 games we've seen this season, I don't think he's been anywhere near as good as he has for the 3 years previous. So.
And Liverpool haven't been as good apart from that last game either when they beat a load of skeletons. So, I mean, I wouldn't take too much from that. But
you're not looking at just like a 4-week sample here. You're looking at the second half of last season. Like he wasn't a good FPL option from February last season?
Since Diaz come, really.
Yeah.
The people who went without him in the second half of last season were the ones who made up the points. I know you went on a right tear without him last year, Doyle. I did the same, I think. Tactician did amazing as well without Salah for like half of last season. I think it's a really good point, actually, that like this has been quite prolonged now, this thing, and we've basically been keeping him for fear of EO. The fact that he's on penalties, which is like absolute nonsense because all the expensive assets are on penalties now. Like that doesn't differentiate him anymore. And also the fact that we've actually got real good value in other spots at Liverpool now. Just to talk briefly, Doyle, you were talking about Harvey Elliott last week. Again, he's a 5 million midfield player who scored this weekend. He got subbed off at half time, but he scored, which makes me think he's going to start again this week. You know what I mean? So, yeah, really interesting one.
It was a weird sub at half time. Was he injured?
I don't think so, no. I think it was just, to be honest, mate, I actually don't know what this manager's doing. How is he not subbing off half of his good players at 5-0 at half time? They're playing on Wednesday and then Saturday again. Like, I was just staggered that they weren't all off. I thought Robertson would be off for Tsimikas. I thought Trent might be off. I thought Salah might be off. Like, what operation is he running here, this guy?
He could even have took 5 off at half time in one go. And even if they got an injury, it wouldn't have mattered. They probably still would have gone on a 1-7-0 because there was 5-0 up anyway at the time. Even if they conceded a couple, it would have made no difference.
It's just complete mismanagement, in my opinion. And I think I've actually started to see some murmurs before the weekend, more so than anything, that they're losing faith with Klopp a little bit, which is really interesting because, like, I don't know what that decision is to keep those players on the pitch at halftime. Literally, I can't explain it. Is it just that the players have got egos and they wanted to like boost their goal scoring stats, and then he's just like listened to them? Like, what is actually going on? I can't explain it.
Yeah, Salah 90 minutes is strange. Although maybe it's a long way off, but he isn't going to the World Cup. If he's thinking maybe he's obviously going to have a big rest at the World Cup. But
Josh questioning probably a top 5 all-time Premier League manager here. It's good.
Yeah, but Josh is number 1 manager in the world.
That's true. He's
a couple of years ago.
Manager of all time.
4 spots below me. Yeah, so it's all right.
Okay, let's keep it moving. Next player.
I'm gonna have to find one from my magical list. How about Son? Let's talk about Son because he was a major pain. He was a major pain point for you, Doyle. Go on, this is your little soliloquy, mate. It's on you.
Well, he actually. Well, no, the problem is he looks just out of form. He just looks like a classic out of form player. Like the ball's bouncing off him. It's not falling for him. But he still looks like he's getting in good positions. I mean, I messaged you after the game, Josh, didn't I? Saying, like, I look at the game and I don't particularly want to swap him to Kane if I'm a Son owner. I'm not like wildcarding and whatnot. Like, see, he's still getting in positions. He's still getting in the box. But yeah, it's just not falling for him at the moment. And it's not, And I think with Richarlison keeps getting more and more minutes every week. And now I think, didn't Conte say he's going to start midweek, Richarlison?
Yeah, he said he's going to start one of the next 2 games. Yeah, and I think it could be. I think it's more likely to be Son who's benched actually than Kulusevski at the moment.
Kulusevski off once for him, yeah. And I think Richarlison plays the left, doesn't he? He doesn't play the right, so I think it's going to be Son being benched, to be honest, in midweek.
Yeah, if he does anything with that, it would be Son moving to the right rather than Richarlison won't play off the right. It will be Richarlison playing off the left and Son will move over. But I think it's more realistic that maybe
Richarlison and Son are very similar players. Like they're both very aggressive, direct, quick runners. Kulusevski is a completely different type of player. He's the assist guy. He's, and I think Richarlison's a like for like for Son. So I'd be shocked if it was Kulusevski rested instead of Son.
Kulusevski's looked really good as well, actually. I've been really impressed with him. He's quite underrated compared to how good he actually is playing, I think.
Agreed. He looks really good.
Yeah, he was on my list as well. So are we all going ice for Son? I think that would be my vote. Yeah, and what about Kulusevski? Because he's on my list as well. So, John, what do you think about him? Like in terms of the game?
So many players you can bring in, and there's a lot of cheaper options in midfield. He's very hard to fit in your team, but in terms of how he's playing, he's super hot. And obviously, Son is a freezing cold. That's
the issue, isn't it? Like you allude to there, John. There's just so many options at the price bracket and cheaper than him. You look at his stats, he's still not really shooting. He's not getting any chances. He's just the assist guy, which is all well and good. But when you've got players like Diaz in the same price bracket who have the goal threat, it's tricky. But yeah, great player, but not an FPL option still for me, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think you can get to him. I really think it's hard to be bringing him in. I think you can maybe put him in if you're on a wild card or something like that, but I think you can't really bring him in like it. And that brings me to another guy that's hard to get to, actually. So Raheem Sterling, obviously braced at the weekend, looks the focal point of the attack other than the fullbacks, the wing backs, I would say. So it seems like it's him and the wing backs basically. Yeah, he's 9.9. Is that right, Doyle? I think you've had a look at his price this week, haven't you?
He is 9.9. I can confirm. Looking at my team, he is 9.9.
Yeah, John, what do you think about your boy Raheem Sterling?
Yeah, he's looked really lively. And obviously, last game he's finally delivered a haul. But 9.9 is a lot of money, and again, it's so hard to get to. Maybe unless you was on the wild card and you wanted someone who's a little bit different. If you're despairing and you need to climb the ranks desperately, mentioning no names, he would be a good shout. But he has looked really good. It's similar to when he's at Man City. I think he's like the goal at the back post this weekend. He's that sort of poacher, and but the only problem is he's the only one of the strike force at Chelsea who's actually doing anything at the moment. Havertz hasn't been very good at all. Mount hasn't delivered anything in terms of performances or FPL points. So I'd be a little concerned how many chances he will get, because going forward, Chelsea don't look great.
I think when James plays right wing back, he's going to get those tap-ins. When he's not playing right wing back, he's not going to get them. I think
that was a good example of what we can do with James.
Exactly. They create the chances, the wing backs, right? So they need James for playing at right wing back. But I love Raheem. I've always loved Raheem, and I think 9.9. I think he's a premium player. I think he's just underpriced. I think he's $1 million underpriced. He's always been a premium player where if he gets the minutes, he's going to get 15 goals, 15 assists sort of level. And I've not seen anything this year to actually suggest he's not going to do that again for Chelsea. Even in the Chelsea team, his stats are still pretty much the same as they've been when he was at City. I just think he looks great. Like even against Leeds, he scored that goal. It was just offside. He had another really good chance. He's just everything for that team at the moment. So I really, really like him. One
thing that could help him this year, where he's been at he's always been prolific his whole career really, but he's never played 90 minutes, whereas at Chelsea I think he will get the minutes this year. So if he can continue to perform at that level, and he's playing pretty much every minute for Chelsea, maybe the odd early substitution aside, we could see him improved on what he's done in the past. And in the past he's been a £12 million player, £11 million player. So if he is 9.9, there could be value for money there. It's difficult how you fit him in your team. I think that's the only issue.
Yeah.
I think he is correctly priced, because I think the teammates that he's got right now are such a drop off from what he's had for the previous 3-4 seasons. I don't think the minutes make up for that genuinely, because he's currently playing with bloody Kai Havertz and Mason Mount, who have both started the season absolutely terribly, in my opinion. It's like, you've got the wing backs, you've got some real good creativity from there, as I alluded to. And the thing we've sort of like danced around is the fact that his movement's exceptional. Like he's got the best, despite how he runs, he's got like, he's one of the best movements in the box in the league, literally. And that's why you get so many tap-ins. So yeah, I think he's correctly priced, and I think this is the time to get him, because I think this is when they've got the fixtures. I think you've got 2 or 3 good fixtures for the attackers.
Away, Southampton away, West Ham at home, and Fulham away.
Yeah, those
pretty,
are the next
pretty much
3.
up until the World Cup. Chelsea have really nice fixtures. I think there's a couple of toughies, 3 or 4 weeks maybe, but then it's a clean run.
Yeah. Liverpool after that, then Palace away, which are 2 bad ones. But then it turns again.
Yeah, I think it's the next 3, and then I think you can maybe look at like is it like a game week 9 wild card you were looking at there, or like as in like when the fixtures go good again, because that would be a good time to get him as well, I think, at that point. So there's definitely entry points to this guy. He's like a discounted premium, if that makes sense, because you can have him with 2 of the premiums, and like and he might score the same as a premium would for like a small stretch of run, I think, if the fixtures are right. So yeah, I hope he does come good. I really like him.
I think he can get premium points. I think he can keep up with them. I think he's a captain option, and this week could be one of those.
Yeah. So you've got 8 flame emojis for him, Doyle. Yeah, I think I'll put like half a flame emoji. I think he's pretty good, and I think the time is now.
Yeah, I'd give him like a little bit on the old Bunsen burner, not full flame.
Oh, my favourite. We've got 2 of my favourites now, so we can. I'm skipping Cancelo. I think you got to make your own personal decision on that, but I'm not selling him before Notts Forest, so that can wait for another week, I think, at least. Let's talk about. We'll do 2 more. I really want to talk very passionately about the Leicester goalkeepers, right? I really want to like. I will be sticking by these boys for the rest of the season. I'll tell you that right now. Like, they will not be leaving my team. As John always alludes to, I've wasted too many transfers in the past on goalkeepers. It is not a business to be getting into. It's a very addictive business as well. So, I mean, one season, I think I made 12 goalkeeper transfers. It's like crack, right? You just can't get into this habit. Literally, you change your goalkeeper on your wild card, and that's it. Like, we picked these guys because they're 4 million and 4 million. We didn't expect much from them. Like, I was expecting 2, to be honest, and I was paying that.
That was very optimistic. Very optimistic.
Yeah, and that's double what they've got, admittedly. So they've got half of that. But what I will also say is, I would say like Sanchez has got like a lot more than we would have expected him to have at this point. Henderson has got a lot more points than we would expect him to have at this point, and like, I'd say they've overachieved slightly. So the discrepancy looks absolutely ridiculous at the moment, because I think those 2 have outscored the Leicester boys by like 20 or something. So it makes the 0-5 look really good, but those points have gone now. Like, we're not going to get those points from game weeks 1 to 4. Like Sanchez is 888 that he probably won't get again for like another 4 weeks. Like, that they've gone. We can't get those back. You know what I mean? So I'm very passionately not wasting a transfer on this. The fixtures are coming, Doyle, as I've said. They've
got some really good ones now, actually. They've got United at home this week. United don't score goals. Then Brighton away. Then Villa at home, which is actually a good fixture, and Spurs away. And it does actually get quite good. You got Nottingham, then but Bournemouth. But I mean, they are so bad. Like,
And
yeah,
can
mate,
I just say,
I was listening. I completely agree. Yeah, I completely agree.
Josh is so passionate. He ran away so that he didn't.
He couldn't hear it. He didn't want to hear
positives. He didn't want to hear the counter argument. He left. He was out of there
when the positives came out. But I mean, they conceded 2 against 10 men. Like, they're not.
As you said, he's a premium player, Doyle, that scored past us. Like, it wasn't just anyone. It was Raheem Sterling, the premium, as you've called him. Yeah, which he will be dubbed for the rest of the season now. Okay, I couldn't convince you boys on that one. Fair enough.
Can I give you the counter argument just to see if it would tempt you?
Yeah, go on, mate.
I know you said about Sanchez and Henderson, and you said the points are gone, done and dusted. from here on out, Ward will match them, whatever. But Brighton looks so much better this season, and they look so solid. And they had good numbers and stuff last year. It just didn't quite click for them. And this year, I think they've stepped up a level. And I think Brighton have some really nice fixtures as well. If you have a look at their next four, I couldn't say them for you, but I looked earlier. I know they're pretty decent.
Fulham away, Leicester home, Bournemouth away, Palace home.
Pretty decent. And I think if for the sake of getting him in 1 week, I can see them keeping another couple of clean sheets because they're playing so well. As for Henderson,
yeah, well, why would you not
I'm
get him? He saves a penalty every other game?
Exactly. I'm not really a stats man, but he saved, 3 out of 5 penalties. So he's also good at them. But Nottingham Forest, I think, had the most shots on goal. So however they're set up, they're clearly allowing the other teams to shoot on site. And Henderson's a great shot stopper. Forest obviously ain't the greatest team in the world. He's going to get a lot of saves.
Ooh, that run gets so good, actually, after City. I've not seen that. So you got City away, then it's Bournemouth home, Leeds away, Fulham home, Leicester away, Villa home, Wolves away, Brighton away, and then it turns. But like that is a lot of. I mean,
this is why I had my eye on him pre-season. Literally, this is why I had my eye on him because I don't like to make the transfer. I looked at the more long-term fixtures, and Henderson actually had the best fixtures of everybody. So like I'm gutted these Leicester boys emerged.
Saves. He had 7 in the first game, 4 in the second, 7 in the third, 4 in the fourth. Oh, I don't want to go Henderson. I don't want Henderson.
You got to go Henderson.
I can't.
Henderson. There's so many shots on goal. He's going to save.
Danny Ward Mark II, man. The Nottingham Forest keeper.
No, he's a solid keeper. And as for Leicester anyway, the other argument is that Leicester are crap this season. So he ain't going to get nothing, is he? And you could always get rid of Everson for Henderson, and then you still got Ward.
Who's the Leicester back line now? Who starts?
Justin, Castagne, Evans, and Soyuncu, I think, is the fourth.
Bad, isn't it?
Yeah, and they got Amati and Vesti as well lurking about.
It's absolutely fantastic team.
Vesti, I thought Vesti was.
Is he off?
I think he left.
Oh, you might have done. Yeah, he weren't there long, was he?
No, him 6 months, and then realised they didn't want another Southampton defender for some reason. I don't really know why. They didn't want more defenders from the team. They kept beating 7-8-0. Weird.
Well, all will be revealed. We'll see what Josh does.
Yeah,
I think it's a while until they play Man United when Henderson can't play because he's on loan.
It's like week 15 or 16. Yeah. It's really late. That's why I didn't talk. That's why I didn't like. I wasn't worried about that either. You know what I mean? So.
You could, like I said, if you keep Ward anyway, you could have him as backup, and then you'd have a playing keeper that week. If Ward's still lurking around the first team or they ain't just terminated his contract.
That's a good point, actually. I actually have Iverson in the moment, which is really stupid. Next, Josh.
Last one, I think. And I've forgotten who it was. Who do you want to talk about? Like, let's talk about Emerson at wing back for West Ham. 4 million. Is he anywhere near your wildcard, Doyle? Have you considered him or?
Not yet. No.
Too early.
Too early.
Yeah, he got subbed off. Yeah, go on, mate.
I'd rather just have Nico at this point. Like, solid. He looks really. Nico's shooting every game. He's gonna haul. So he's gonna haul at some point. I mean, that stretch we just talked about then. Like, you could literally start Nico for 5 weeks on the bounce if you want to, and you're gonna get a haul at some point.
Yeah, Bournemouth at home next week. I want to play him. I'm gonna play him. Like, there's no way I'm not playing him for that. So I'm
rethinking things on my wild card all of a sudden after seeing that run of fixtures.
The Forest triple up is on.
Yeah, it could be Emerson. It could be Emerson, Patterson, Nico. That could be 3 of the 5.
Oh, Jesse.
That's why I said it, Doyle, because like I think you can have Nico as the 4th defender now, and you can have Emerson as the 5th, or Patterson if you that way inclined, which I know you do, like the boys in blue. So yeah. Nico's
been one of their best players as well, I think. Especially going forward, every single game on the highlights, he's had a crack at goal, and he's been very close. It's coming.
The commentators have been all over him on Sky as well. They've been like really talking him up.
I wonder why they'd like an ex-Liverpool fullback who's also is he Welsh?
Yeah, they don't like Richarlison either for some reason.
Oh, shock! Yeah,
he was doing kick-ups yesterday, and they wanted to have him arrested on the pitch.
Coming from the guy who spat in a kid's face, he thinks that Richarlison should go to jail for doing some keepy-ups apparently on the pitch. But
yeah, there was
Emerson's just too soon for me. I think it's
Yeah, we ain't seen enough.
We don't know what they're playing. We don't know what they're doing. So he came off at half time last time. They went to 4 at the back. So you don't know if he's starting over Cresswell in the 4 yet, which I assume he will do, but it might take a few weeks. And West Ham don't look good defensively at the moment. They'll turn that around because Moyes is a great manager, but yeah.
Yeah. And that brings us to the end of Fire and Ice.
Great segment. And we move on to the hot topic. So this week we're going to look at pretty much the X minutes debate, expected minutes, who's whether we want to sort of, as managers, if we want to go for the trusted minutes, so the players like Harry Kane, or whether we want to dip into, the guys who are a bit more risky in terms of minutes, who are going to get rotated, but when they do play, have quite a lot of upside. John, what are your thoughts on the topic? Are you more an X-Mins guy or a punty?
Not punty at all. I'd always go for the guaranteed starters. Give me the minutes any day. Very risk averse. You know me. Like we keep saying, boring manager, boring person, boring life.
Wow, don't say yourself short there, John. Come on, Joshy, what are you thinking?
Has that came as you've got older, John? Because obviously you've had quite a lot of years. Like, you know what I mean? Like, is it?
People do get
obviously
more conservative when they get older. Yeah, they do say that.
Yeah. Once you hit 50, it's all change.
It's all Brexit and X-Mins. That's the combo for John.
It's only you two keeping me young doing these sort of podcasts and stuff, and I owe everything to you two.
I mean, I'm young in inverted commas, but I'm also one of the most boring managers alive. Like, you know me. I'm the sort of guy who'll pick Saka just because I know he's going to start every game. You know what I mean? So, yeah. I am always like more like that, but I like to have like maybe one spot that's a bit punty, and I think I might actually go that with the armband this week with someone who I'm not sure is going to start, but I might just go for it anyway, I think. So, in general, very, very safe, though. As you know, James Ward-Prowse is my favourite player. So, yeah, that gives you a bit of an inkling, I think.
Yeah, and I guess I'm probably more on the other side of that coin in general. I'll go for a bit more risk happy, punt happy. But in terms of players from that perspective then, so I've got a few examples here. So we've got Kane v Haaland. If you could have them for the next, let's say, 5 weeks, who would you pick? Josh?
It's really tough. We talked about this on one of the first episodes, but the captaincy rotates so well between like those two for the next few weeks as well. I know we've got Haaland with Forest this week, but then Kane's got Fulham at home week 6. And then, yeah. They're
one of the next two, isn't he? That's the point. Well,
yeah, he's definitely getting benched for one of Villa or Forest. I would put a bet on that. I'd put a lot of money on that, actually. It's just which one it is, and my inkling is that it's Saturday. Like, I think it might be the weekend where he doesn't start. Like that, I've just got it in my head, and maybe that's just me wanting to believe that because I want to captain him. But I think I am going to lean that way, that he would play Wednesday, miss Saturday, and then play Tuesday. I think that makes more sense to me. But yeah, he's playing Champions League. That's what I mean. So he definitely misses one of the next two. But like, is it Villa? Is it Forest? It's going to be a big coin flip, and I've got a feeling it's going to be quite a swingy amount of points as well, to be honest, whether he starts or not. In that debate, I would lean Kane for the next two, definitely. And then maybe you can flip it after that. John?
I think it's very difficult. I don't think the way I play it, every decision I make is always based on probability. So whatever I think has the best odds in my head of happening, that's generally what I'll do. With these two, I completely agree with you. I think Haaland will be benched at some point. I don't think Pep's lying about the fact that he won't play every single game. So I think he might play 3 or 4 out of the next 5. But the only issue I think is that Haaland will still come off the bench and probably play 20, 30 minutes in them games. And whereas Manchester City is so much more attacking, so much more of a threat, I think they can easily outscore Tottenham. So I think there'll still be points there. And even this weekend, if you look at Haaland's hat-trick, it was a 19-minute hat-trick, I think, or 20-minute hat-trick. So he only needs a little bit of time and he's going to get them chances. Whereas Kane, he's going to be consistent, but maybe doesn't have the upside of the team around him. So I don't think there's a huge amount between it. I think if you go either or, I think it's a 50-50 decision. Wouldn't surprise me at all if one outscored the other. I think it's just how it falls on the day, really. So if anyone's deciding between the two, I wouldn't spend too much time on it. Just go with your gut, I think.
The big concern with Haaland is the captaincy, isn't it? Because with Kane, you can stick the armband on him any week. He's going to get you 90 minutes. With Haaland, you just don't know that. He can come on for 10 minutes midweek. It's very plausible. And like you say, he can do damage in 10 minutes, but you're reducing your likelihood massively. But I just think that Haaland's just such a better option. Like, I don't think the minutes for me are enough to mitigate the actual difference in quality between the two players in terms of from an FPL perspective, because City are just so much better than Spurs, and Haaland's just literally lives in the box. He's just such a good FPL asset that, it's Haaland all day for me.
So you just said something that shocked me. So are you allowed to change your captain? Because I just set it on Harry Kane in game week 1 and I've just left it there since then. Are you actually allowed to switch it between players? Like, is that? I thought you had to just pick the best guy at the start and then just run the board. So.
Put it on anyone. Put it on Ward if you like. Doubled out with that 1 up to 2 each week.
Yeah, he's nailed for 90 at least. So it's more than Haaland will get probably.
Okay. On to the next one. We got Perisic or Cucurella. I think Cucurella is not necessarily nailed, but let's assume he's nailed.
Yeah, I'm taking Cucurella for the short term again. I think the fixtures are better for the next 3. I know you really fancied the cleans, Doyle. I fancy him more from an attacking point of view, but I do think they'll get at least 1 clean in the next 3. So, yeah. Isn't it like we talked about, but is it Fulham, West Ham and Southampton? Is that right in the next 3? I think I've got the order wrong, but...
other way, Southampton, West Ham, Fulham, but yeah.
I fancy 1 clean in those 3 games, and I think for 5 million, it's a bit of a save. Is it 5-1 now, is he? But he's a bit of a saving on Perisic anyway, so I think like for the saving and the fixtures, I think I'd just take Cucurella all day, to be honest.
Yeah, similar. I think it's another difficult one, another coin flip almost. I'd probably... Although I'm a Chelsea fan, I think I'd maybe lean towards Perisic. I really like what I've seen from him going forward. I know Cucurella's gone forward as well and he's looked okay, but had a few shots off target. But Perisic seems like he's got a bit more killer instinct and assist potential. The only thing with Cucurella I'd say is Chelsea look likely to sign Fofana. So there'd be a little bit more rotation. You'll have Fofana, Thiago Silva, Koulibaly as 3 centre-backs. Then you could have Chilwell and James on the wing, which leaves no place for Cucurella. I think Cucurella has more cover for Chilwell and the centre-back. But I do think
Cucurella's not ahead of him.
If we were playing the Champions League final, I think it would be Koulibaly, Silva and Fofana, probably.
And left wing back, saying.
And then Chilwell and James.
You think Chilwell's ahead of Cucurella?
Yes, I think so in terms of maybe not right now. I think because he's only coming back to fitness, Chilwell. He didn't play much last season, but I think they're going to be rotated so much. I think you might see Cucurella at left wing back, then next week he might be rested, then next week he might be at left centre back. You still got Azpilicueta there, Trevor Chalobah, Reece James can play right centre back, and you could have Azpilicueta right wing back. Seems to be a lot going on there. And I think you might get a bit frustrated with the odd benching. That's the only problem. But then again, it might happen with Perisic as well once Champions League starts. So,
what do you think about Fofana? Do you think he's going to get a lot of minutes from the off?
I think so. I can't see how you pay 80 million for him and then you leave him on the bench. I know Cucurella was 50 million, but
you think it's Koulibaly, Fofana +1 most weeks?
Yeah, but I mean, obviously you got Thiago Silva, but he's like 48 now, so I don't think he's going to be playing every game anyway. So I think it's just going to be rotation.
Yeah, you need a squad, but like what you said, JB, I think there's mainly 6 people for 5 slots. Assuming James is nailed, like I think you basically like you could rotate any of the other 5 people for 4 slots. You know what I mean? So I don't think there's going to be much. And I actually think Cucurella will play in the more important games. Ironically, so I think if it was the Champions League final, I think Cucurella would play over Chilwell actually, because I think he's better defensively. So I think ironically, Chilwell will get the really good FPL games. I think he'll get the really like ones where you want to push people back like a lot. because obviously Cucurella is a bit more of a left back, I would say, than a left wing back. So it's like, I think in the really easy games, I think Chilwell will play. But yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of rotation. I think Fofana could be a good pick at 4-5 actually. But for getting a wing back like who plays wing back half the game, surely Cucurella is a good pick as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But like I say, the odd thing will be that he'll play centre back, so obviously won't be as attacking sometimes. Whereas if Perisic does play, he's exclusively on the wing and almost like a inside forward. You know, like he bomb inside, he can go outside, cross it, he can do the whole shebang.
Yeah. One more thing on Perisic, then I'll stop. All right. Everyone is absolutely convinced. I've seen it a lot on Twitter in the last few days that Perisic is going to sub off on 65 minutes every single game, and you're never going to get that one where he subs off before 60. And they also think because he's getting subbed off before on 65 every game that he's going to start every game. I don't think either of those things are necessarily true. I think you need more data for that, and I think he will be benched the odd game, and I think you will get that one killer 58th minute sub that will really hurt you. So I think that you need to have that in your mind that might happen. I think.
I mean, I'd be shocked if he starts next two. If he starts midweek at the weekend, I'd be shocked.
Because they've got so many options as well, especially once Champions League starts. They're not going to just play him, are they?
Sessegnon had such a good first game, right, as well. So, like, I don't think he's going to just shut him out completely. I can't see that. So,
as I say, someone's take was that Perisic is just going to start every single game and he's going to get subbed off on 65, which I think he's just like they're just taking a 2-game sample and just saying that that's going to happen every game, just extrapolating it. But I think you need more evidence than that. And we haven't seen a Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday yet, which is what we're about to see right now. So let's see how that one goes.
I think one other argument as well, when the Champions League does start, if you're Conte and you're setting a team out in the Champions League, I think he's going to be more inclined to play Perisic than Sessegnon, for instance, because he's obviously got experience in massive games and World Cup finals and Champions League already, whereas Sessegnon obviously hasn't. So it may be more likely that Sessegnon plays in the Premier League. Maybe I'm just guessing, but could
the only
be.
flip side of that is that Perisic isn't a defender. He's like, so would they want someone who's more defensively solid in the big games?
Maybe. I think it depends who you're playing. Like, obviously, like Josh said this about Cucurella, like he'd play Cucurella over Chilwell, but then when you're playing three at the back, 3 centre backs, and then you've got 2 holding midfielders in front of him, you need them wingers to get forward and attack for you. Otherwise, you know, you ain't going to get nothing going forward. If you're like Chelsea, for instance, you've got Conte, Jorginho, 3 centre backs. If you want your 2 wingers to sit back and defend as well, like you ain't got nothing, have you? So you need them to get forward. So you do need to be attacking.
I tell you what, JB, you've been missing Kante, haven't you? I mean, the last few games they've just been walking through you, haven't they? Leicester and Leeds, they've just been walking through the midfield.
The Leeds game was the one, and we've been playing Gallagher there. Obviously, got sent off in this one as well. Like he couldn't do anything, but the Leeds game especially as well, he weren't good at all. He's been fouling people. I don't think he's suited to that position at all. He's not that good defensively. I don't think in terms of what he can bring to the team. He's so much better going forward.
Yeah, he's better in a 4-3-3 as like the most advanced. It's like an 8. He's an 8. He's literally an 8. So he needs to play further forward.
He can do box to box, but he's got the energy to do it. But I don't think defensively he's as good, nowhere near as attacking wise.
Yeah, if Thomas Tuchel plays Reece James at centre back again, though, it's just a farce. Now he's got 15 centre backs to choose from. If he plays Reece James there,
I think hopefully we might be all right for James owners midweek because Loftus-Cheek's been playing right wing back. So now we've got Kante and Gallagher suspended. It'll just be Jorginho, and then hopefully Loftus-Cheek will take that position in midfield maybe, and then James will be right wing back.
Kovacic is back there, right?
Tuchel said he's not ready to start yet. He's only ready for minutes off the bench. So he'll be on the bench, I'd imagine. He said that, I think, after the game.
I'd have preferred he was playing, so even with the Loftus-Cheek stuff, just because he's just a much better player, so he might keep it clean. But very quickly, last one on this, Gundo v Saka. Josh, there's only one answer for you, mate. We know what your answer is.
Gundogan, can we move on, please? I'll take Gundogan.
Oh, wow.
I'm a bit embarrassed, to be honest, but yeah, I'll take Gundogan, please.
Would you? Well, we'll talk about your team in a bit, but we'll talk about it next.
Well, one thing on the Chelsea team, sorry, like Chilwell still isn't back, is he, JB? From my understanding,
yeah, he's back. Right? Yeah.
On the bench.
But is he ready to start though?
I think he could probably play a game, yeah, but Tuchel's already said he's taking it very easy with him. He's easing him back in, so
That's what I mean. But like, if Chilwell's not back and Fofana's not ready, then like James just has to play centre back again, doesn't he? Really, unless Chalobah plays again. Like it's like,
yeah, you could always play
mean?
Aspi there. Who knows? We'll see. It's just, I think James offers so much more to the team when he plays right wing back that's the reason that we need to start him there, really, and especially because Mount and Havertz ain't doing it up top as well. We need a bit more attacking input, so we'll find out on midweek.
John, quick one, Gundo, Saka.
Saka probably.
Yeah, and I'm Gundo all the way. No, it's tough. Obviously, like he's just such a rotation risk, but his stats when he does play, as you can see on the screen, not you guys, but the public.
I think Saka's he hasn't got many FPL returns, but Arsenal playing so well, I think he will produce. I don't think he's a player who's just lost his form permanently. I think he's going to be fine. And obviously, Gundo was benched at the weekend, so there's the rotation risk. And as we were saying, I always go with the player who's going to play more minutes usually, so that's why I'd lean Saka.
Yeah, there's the rotation risk with Gundo, but when he does start, he's just such an elite option for his price, particularly. It's, I mean, we'll talk about it a bit more when we talk about my team, but like his numbers are equivalent to KDB's essentially. Like it's pretty nuts for 5 million less. Obviously, you don't get the guarantee of starts, but yeah, it's pretty insane. Well, with that, should we move on to teams? Should we start with John's team?
For this week?
Yeah.
Okay, so I've declined starting Ward in goal, and I've picked Sanchez. That is, again, as we alluded to earlier, because Ward is rubbish. I'm still not sure what I'm going to do with transfers. I've got to do something. There's about 10 different things and I could do. I think to sum it up, I think I really want to bring in Zaha. Obviously, he didn't play the weekend, so he's not fit. So I don't necessarily want to rush him in at the moment until he's fit. I really want to get Saliba in there because he's such good value for money. I can't resist that. I think even for Cancelo, I didn't think of it initially, but now I'm thinking there's going to be so much money available if I put him in for Cancelo at some point. Not this week, obviously, because he's got Nottingham Forest. I did want to do him for James, so
you could look at Cancelo down to Stones or Walker.
I don't think I'd do that. I'm not keen on the Man City defence in general. That's probably why I'd get rid of Cancelo. But I don't know. There's so much to do. Neto's another problem as well. I don't want to get rid of him this week or next week because they got good fixtures and he looked lively at the weekend.
He did,
but I do think hot is Zaha when he comes back. So I wouldn't mind getting Zaha in there. Or if not, maybe Eze or Gross for Neto once the next two fixtures are out of the way. Or another value for money player, if Neto did go Arsenal like he was rumoured to, Nunes is only 5 million for Wolves, the new signing. He looked quite good as well. He'd obviously be a bench player, but like I say, decent value for money. Benching Trippier this week, unless I sell him for Saliba. Again, not quite sure. So we'll see. I could bring Saliba in for Williams at the moment because I've got some money in the bank as well. But like we said, Williams got such good fixtures and he's such good value for money that it feels a bit wrong to do that. So I don't know how I can get Saliba in. It might have to be for Trippier, but I don't know. It's tough, but it's all good problems to have, I guess.
Yeah, it's such a perfect roll week, literally. Like it's like there's a lot of teams that are like I'm hearing about burning, as you've talked about. I know there's a guy on Twitter called FPL Salah who's burnt every week so far this season. He hasn't made a transfer yet because he just picked like that 5 at the back structure, which is so hard to get off, literally, because I've been on that in seasons past. And you are right, like you're often like you haven't got a move to make, literally, because he's got like James, Diaz, Cancelo, Robertson, Trent or something like that at the back that you can't do anything from that, literally. Like you're stuck with it, you know what I mean, if you're playing it. So yeah, it's a really interesting one. I think he's got Cucurella over Diaz, actually, because I would have told him to do Diaz down otherwise, I think. So I think he's got Cucurella, James, Cancelo, Robertson, Trent. I just don't think you could sell any of those right now this week. So it's like
we said, there's a massive player pool to choose from this year. There's so many good options, which is making it hard. because whatever you do, there's options to bring players in. A lot of players are performing well for your teams, unless you're Doyle. So we'll see.
As long as you don't have any of the guys I picked, you're probably doing pretty well, actually.
Yeah, I need to see yours.
Only 11 bad players in the game. So I think I'd still be tempted to do Cancelo down, even with the fixture this week. He's not look good, has he? Like even moving, like I say, to a cheaper City option for me is worth it. He's not got any. He doesn't look attacking at all.
The issue is how to spend the money though. If I do that, because I like the rest of my team, that was the other problem. So if I did do Cancelo to Saliba, the only thing I could think of doing was Greenwood to Tony. I think it was, which I quite liked because Brentford still got good fixtures. He hit the post at the weekend again. He's been on fire. He was one of my hot Bunsen burners last week.
I don't think you can Tony over Mitrovic for me at the moment.
Yeah, Mitro was the other one, but
Mitro's just so much better.
Mitro's got a couple of weeks, and then his fixtures get really good as well. So
I don't care about his fixtures. Like he's been a Marco Silva team that is attacking teams, and he just looks like scoring every week. He's so good. He's so central to them.
So that would be one option. That would feel like two really good players like Saliba, Mitro, or Tony. Or Greenwood, obviously out of the team.
You bench Pereira. You play,
because Neto's a bit of an issue in a couple of weeks that I need to fix, but then that would solve that because I'd have another stronger player. Well,
you look good. But I think it's just so difficult at the moment because there are so many good options that holding Neto just feels bad, even with the two great fixtures.
And I don't want to do anything this week because, like you can see, Cancelo's got Forest at home. And then Neto's got Bournemouth, who just conceded 9. So I don't really want to take him out. So if I did burn him, then I've still got 2 transfers next week. So it's not the end of the world. And it gives me a little bit more time to assess the situation. Anyway, it's my dilemmas. Shall we move on to Josh?
Yeah. Let's go on to Josh's team.
Now, I mean, you're all going to say mine isn't a burn. Because there's a few question marks, I would say, in the team. I've obviously got the 2 4 million goalies, which you boys for some reason think aren't the best picks on the game. I've got 3 4.5 million midfielders in my team. I've got Saka, who you all think is absolute rubbish, and I've got Zinchenko with a flag. But I still don't know what I'm going to do. I can't quite find which one I'm going to move on. I have a feeling you lot will all tell me to do Ward to Sanchez for free or something similar to that. I can do Zinchenko to Dunk, which I've looked at, and I really like Lewis Dunk for the next 4 weeks, actually.
Because Brighton are so good at keeping clean sheets.
He's going to get it. No, he's going to get a header. He's going to score a header. That's why. Sanchez doesn't score goals, mate. That's the difference. Dunk's an option. I can do Zinchenko to Reece James for free, which Doyle apparently told me is quite good.
What's that?
Like you said, I can do Zinchenko to Reece James for free, which seems like a good move. I can't do anything with the midfielders yet, but I'm probably gonna have to upgrade something in the midfield. But as I've alluded to, I want to play Nico next week, so I might just be able to bench my 4.5 million mids next week, and I'll be all right with it, I think. So I really don't know what to do. I think the structure's quite like, again, it's just like there's not many to take out really. Robertson's close to the chopping block for me, like next week. But again, I want to keep him for this Newcastle game when they don't have any of their players. Just a weird week because everyone seems to have good fixtures. If I was locking it in now, I would do Zinchenko to Saliba or Dunk. But it's not very exciting. I'm aware of that.
Yeah, it depends. We've not heard anything on Zinchenko, right, aside from muscle injury, which is so vague. And it's like, if I don't hear anything, I'd probably be chucking him because you don't know if that's 1 game, 2 games, 4 games.
I also don't love the 2 fixtures for Arsenal. They've got Villa and then Man United away. So, like, as a 2, that could easily be no clean sheets for me. Like, I don't know.
Villa,
yeah.
It's like the best in the league.
Ollie Watkins is elite, mate. He's absolutely elite striker. They haven't looked good recently, but Ollie Watkins always scores against Arsenal. It's a rule. Check the history. I promise he always scores against Arsenal. I capped him once against Arsenal and he scored. I absolutely love that. But no, it's like, but the point is, like, we don't know if Zinchenko's going to play. Is the more the concern, obviously. So if I don't hear anything, I'm probably leaning towards him out. But I think the goalie move's reasonable for people who don't like Leicester goalkeepers. I think Saka to Martinelli would still be reasonable at this point, even like to get the money, but I just don't want to. I want to go with Saka and just take it on. I think I really want to take it on with the lower owned player.
But he's he's looked a lot worse in every department so far this season, really.
Do you know what this feels like? It feels like everything you said about Salah is like what's happening with Saka. So Saka's not performing and he's more expensive. And you made a massive case for getting Diaz in. But Martinelli's the same. He's cheaper and he's playing much better. So why would you not just get the extra $1.5 million from Martinelli?
Yeah, it's slightly different because obviously, like, if Diaz was 11 million, there's no way I'd be taking him over Salah, for example. Like, there's a big price difference with that one. You know what I mean? That is like an extra player.
I feel like this is quite a big price difference, though. That I know it's not like 5 million or whatever, like Diaz or whatever it is, but for the sake of like a like-for-like player, Saka and Martinelli, I feel like that's a big chunk that you can improve your team with. I mean, I'd do that instantly if I was you, Saka to Martinelli. And the other one, I think, Zinchenko to Saliba, just so you know he's going to play and he's cheaper. You get a bit more money there as well. Then you can use that to upgrade Latvia on your bench.
Shall I do Jesus to Nketiah as well and just swap 3 Arsenal players for 3 Arsenal players?
I'd just get the money. I'd get the money and then you can upgrade someone else.
No, I think if I keep Zinchenko, I do think I'll actually end up doing the Saka to Martinelli. I think genuinely to get the extra 2 mil or one. I think it's 1.5 now, but that's okay. Yeah, they are getting really close in price now. I think Saka's like 7.9 and Martinelli's like 6.5 approaching.
Going to meet in the middle soon at 7.3.
They're going to be the same.
How much have you got in the bank, Josh?
I got 1 million.
Oh, you can do so much. If you've got Saliba and Martinelli in, with that, you can upgrade Lavia or someone to someone really decent, I think.
I mean, I'd just instantly do Saka to Martinelli and Lavia to Rodrigo or something like that for free.
Yeah, Rodrigo, Gross, Eze.
Don't get Gross. Just don't do it.
Gross looks good. Even in the highlights this week, again, he put a beautiful ball through, scored the goal. He looks so good.
It's not going to continue. It's just not.
I didn't think that after the first game or so, but the highlights the last game as well, I think confirmed it that I want him in if I could get him, but it's difficult as well.
It's just not going to continue. I'm not buying it for a second.
I think I want to take 2 transfers into the weekend because I think if my hunch is right that Haaland starts against Forest, I'm going to sell him for the weekend because I'm absolutely convinced he doesn't start that one. So I think I will actually sell him at the weekend if he does start tomorrow. So I need 2 transfers for that because obviously I would change him to Mitrovic or Tony. Like there's no other player to bring in for him. I don't think. Like those are the 2 I want. I want one of those 2. And then I'd pump the money into midfield. I think I'd probably buy a Raz or something like Doyle's talking about, something like that.
Yeah.
But I can't do that now. I don't have the money for Raz now. Otherwise, I'd instantly go like Saka to Raz. If I had that money, I think I'd punt that, for example, for 2 weeks. But yeah, I don't know what else I can do really. I think selling Saka and selling Zinchenko are the obvious things. Make some money so I can upgrade one of these 4-5s at the weekend or something like that. I think that's my plan. Like that's going to be my plan for the next 3 weeks or whatever.
There's no emergency situations with your team now. That's the thing. I think so. Maybe just to use the one transfer and then carry it forward will help your team, especially transfer windows closing. You never know what's going to happen. Players going everywhere. Quick turnaround in fixtures, could be injuries, so you might need it anyway. One other thing I would say is if Chelsea do sign Fofana, he's dropped in price. He's 4.4 million. I think 4.4 million for someone who's going to play, I'd say on average, 3 out of 4 games, I'd say. Going to be cracking value for a Chelsea defender. That's almost bench fodder, 4.4 million, and he's going to be in a Chelsea team. You're not going to pay that price for him, 80 million, and not play him.
I've been waiting for this to happen since week 1, literally this transfer, because I've been eyeing this spot up from the start. Like it's just like 4.4 is ridiculous. It's like
that's why you could do the Martinelli and then maybe save that Zinchenko transfer for a few games until Fofana's playing, and you could do Zinchenko to Fofana.
You wouldn't expect him to come on either. You know, when he doesn't start,
yeah,
stay on the bench. And obviously this year we got a lot of bench cover. So
I think you could pick an absolutely amazing team, like capped at like budget players for each position. Literally, Because up front, you could have Tony, Mitrovic, and maybe you could count Jesus just about as like a cheaper option kind of thing. So you could have Mitrovic, Tony, and Jesus.
Zaha and Eze in midfield, obviously, you're going to say.
You could literally have bloody Andreas, Martinelli, Rodrigo, Pascal Gross has been mentioned, Zaha, Eze in midfield. Luis Diaz, if we're going up to 8 million as well, he's exceptional value. And then at the back, you've obviously got Nico, Saliba, Fofana, someone like Lewis Dunk, who's kept 3 clean sheets in 4 games and has got attacking threat as well.
Even Ben White.
Yeah. And then you've got the 2 Leicester goalies in goal. So what more value would you actually want? Like, you know what I mean?
We can stretch to Henderson if we're doing that.
Yeah, maybe not the Leicester goal.
And you might even have Emerson. You never know, as a wing back at 4 million, which is another cheap one. And Doyle might even say Patterson at 4 million.
Great pick. I'm really struggling at the moment though. With my team, I'm looking at options and like I'm struggling to spend the money. Like it's really tough. Like there's just so many good options that are cheap this year, and it's quite hard to like. Yeah,
that's what I was alluding to. Yeah, literally, like you could pick a whole team of like cheap, really good picks, and like people are going to debate about which one's better. But I think you go with one and you stick. Like especially if they've got a decent fixture run, I think you do just run the board for 4 or 5 games and just hope that your Rodrigo beats Pascal Gross, you know what I mean? Or whatever the flip is that you're taking on.
Yeah, and that's the toughest part, is deciding between these sort of picks that are all similar price range, all look really, really good. It's like you just got to, hope you hit the right one. And yeah.
Has March made the Ballon d'Or quote about Rodrigo yet? Or have we got to wait for the press conference?
Well, he didn't score this week, so he's probably going to get a drop midweek now.
Bamford's back.
Yeah, I'm a bit worried about that. Not in the sense that I don't think he's getting dropped, but in the sense that I think he, could go back into that sort of role behind Bamford, where potentially isn't as good from.
Or if they ease Bamford in at last 20 minutes, comes on for Rodrigo.
Also possible.
If they're winning, they want to sit back and just like for like, or...
Yeah, well, with that, I mean, obviously it's been alluded to all episode, but my wildcard team.
Yeah, the crowd goes wild.
Yeah, it's really, really tough, actually. I'm really, really struggling with it.
Is it the same as what you sent earlier to us in the chat?
Like that's the current iteration, but it's gonna change. Like, and
I saw John Stones, and I was already thinking, he's at it again.
He won't stay in.
Someone stop him.
He was just like a last second I chucked a guy in sort of thing. That spot could be that spot could obviously be anyone. Yeah, but it's really difficult, really, really difficult. At the moment, I mean, that team has 0.8 in the bank, and I really struggle to spend that much money, to be fair. But that's only 1 premium, which I'm a bit worried about doing that from a team structure perspective. Down the line, it could get me into trouble if I do need to sort of get up to someone.
What spots are you sort of certain on?
Haaland, Jesus, probably Reece James, Nico, Martinelli. I'm like 90% on Martinelli.
Value for money with Martinelli,
Yeah, and Raheem Sterling, I'm certain on.
See, this is the thing. I wouldn't worry about the team structure because, like, you're only keeping Sterling, I would imagine, for 3 weeks, looking at the fixtures, and then you've got to dip off and then maybe bring him back in like 4 or 5 weeks.
I can see myself keeping him though if he looks good. Like he's so good. I could.
That's the issue. If he performs well in the 3 games that he's meant to, then you got a real decision because you're going to be loving him up until that point because he's just produced a good sphere.
Goals, and he's the best. He's the best player. He's the biggest threat by far. So.
The fixtures are all right, actually. They're not that bad. It's just Liverpool, literally. The rest are absolutely fine.
There's just that after that, yeah.
And Mitro, I'm pretty set on Mitro, actually, now. I do like Kane a lot, particularly for the captaincy. But I'm just really struggling to see past Mitrovic at the price point for what he's doing so far this season. His stats, how he looks in the game. He just looks so underpriced that, yeah. It's tough. I mean, that team doesn't have Rodrigo in. I love Rodrigo. Luis Diaz, I'm not 100% on, to be honest with you.
I don't know. 8.1's a gift, isn't it?
It is.
There's
but
so many though. There's so many gifts.
Competition in the price range. It's really tough. Like I've got a list of players, and I've got.
You've only got 2 Liverpool anyway, and I mean you got to be having Diaz over Sterling for me. I'd still say
Not for me. No.
for 2 million cheaper, and
I mean, like you take out. I mean, last game obviously scored a brace, and he's looked all right so far this season, but he's not looked.
he did score a worldie in one of the games as well. Was it?
That's what I mean. Though he scored a worldie. He scored 2 headers.
Going on last season as well, he was.
But he wasn't that good last season. Like from an FPL perspective, he was okay, but he wasn't. Again, he wasn't setting the world on fire.
So
Like,
you might get rid.
Scored a hat trick. Like, I mean, that was like the 9-0 was it was a weird one, but I'd be pretty shocked if he ever scored a hat trick for Liverpool, for instance.
I don't know. I like him. I think he's good.
I think he's good. I think he's a good pick. I'm not saying he's not a good pick at all, but like I've got a list here, so of mids who I like: Sterling, Gundo, Diaz, Martinelli, KDB, Zaha, Rodrigo, Kulusevski, Foden. Even I don't think I'll go Foden, but I think they're all very vital, as well as Andreas Pereira as well. Particularly if I'm going 3 up top. Like I can only pick 4 of those players, and they're all great. Like Zaha, I love Zaha, but it's like, how do you get to him? I think that could be a Gundo move sort of thing. If I have Gundo for a few weeks as short-term punt and then move on.
Tricky.
Really tough. And I mean that's not even including the best player in FPL history, Mo Salah. He's not even on the list. So like KDB v Gundo. Does anyone have any thoughts on that? Like, because KDB obviously has the minutes, but his stats are actually kind of worse, particularly from a goal perspective.
I'd take Gundo short term, for the team structure point of view that you talked about, because I don't think there's any other midfielders I'd want to move to at this point, like from KDB. So if you pick KDB, like fair enough, you can go down, obviously, but you'd want to move it to Kane. I think at the moment would be like where you'd want to put the money. Like I would either just start with Kane or I'd just go without that spot, I think, and I'd take Gundogan, who you can move to Zaha, whose fixtures go on forever, for example. I know you hate him, Doyle, but like I think
Zaha.
Yeah.
No, I like Zaha. I love Zaha.
Yeah, because he's got fixtures till the World Cup, pretty much, like till you get your wild card. So like,
I'd put him in this week, but Vieira made some weird comments today about how he's not sure if he's touch and go, and then there's
said like you have to wait and see or something.
Yeah, and there's these Chelsea rumours as well, which
coming to Chelsea
probably are nothing, but been linked the last couple of days.
Sterling and Zaha, can you imagine?
Tasty. So I don't think I'm quite ready to just stick him in my team yet, but he could be an easy move from Gundo, for instance.
Yeah, I don't think Gundo's been picked like with the long term in mind, has he? It's like he's probably going to start midweek, and if he doesn't, he's definitely starting against Villa. So you get one of them two, you get the other one off the bench, which is as good as you can get. Really, that's as sure as you can be of a good fixture.
I can get 2 starts from Gundo. Like that's feasible. He could start both quite easily.
I mean, being benched as well in the last game means he's probably likely to start next couple. So
yeah, at least the next one. Yeah. And then Martinelli v like Rodrigo as like a heads up. I think I prefer Martinelli, but I don't think
I saw saying earlier about all the set pieces and stuff. Martinelli's had everything for Arsenal as well, the corners as well. So
yeah,
the way they're playing,
his stats are so good as well. Like, I think I'm pretty set on keeping Martinelli, to be honest with you.
He loves a shot, and where his confidence is so up this season, where it's like the best season he's had so far. He's just shooting on sight whenever he gets the ball as well, which is another good thing.
Yeah. The only other issue I have with this structure as well is the fact I like Darwin, and I don't know who I'd be dropping to get him down the line, sort of thing. Like, I don't think I want to take out Mitrovic now until World Cup. So I think I'm just basically saying I won't have Darwin, which.
Well, I just can't. I don't think you can take that line anymore. I don't think he's nailed anymore. I think he's given Bobby a chance to play his way back into the team and like get a start every 2 games. Yeah. Like He's just not nailed, mate. I wouldn't consider that at the moment. Like he made a really bad mistake that cost the team either 2 points or whatever you want to call it. So.
And when Champions League comes round, he's going to have no hesitation playing Jota one game or Bobby one game, or it could be anything, couldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, if I went Kane, that would be the spot to do it with, obviously. I mean, the one premium, the other issue, obviously, is the captaincy, like what I'm doing with that every week. I mean, I'm not really, as I proved this week, I'm not scared of capping Jesus, but capping Jesus and Sterling can burn you. So,
like, who would you go week 6? That's the problem. Like, we got week 5 coming up. Week 6, Kane's the best captain. So, like, are you gonna, like, you know what I mean? Like, you need a captain for week 6 because Haaland might not play.
It's like the Harry Kane show with Josh, isn't it?
That's the thing with Haaland, isn't it? Like, if my thinking was, he's more likely to be benched game week 5 than 6. So he's a great captain for game week 6 if he's benched. But if he's not, because my initial thinking was, and I really like your argument around the Champions League, and I think that holds a lot of weight. And I think I'm much more thinking Haaland's going to start midweek now. But initially my thinking was Haaland won't start midweek. I'll captain Sterling, and then I'll cap Haaland at the weekend. But you take that out, then you look at the captaincy for game week 6, and it's suddenly problematic.
Yeah, at the moment Champions League rolls around and Haaland starts a game in the Champions League, I think it almost kills Haaland as a not captain option at the following Saturday, because you're going to think he's just played 90 minutes Champions League maybe, or that's even 75 minutes. Will he start the weekend? And there's going to be so much doubt in people's minds that you'd want to go elsewhere. It's a tough decision to make, unless you're forced to. I mean, your team does lend itself to having to go with him because you ain't got the Salah option, obviously, which a lot of normal people would do. But if not, it's Jesus.
Yeah, that's the issue. I mean, that week, game week 6, there isn't anything in my team to go with. Like,
well, Nico Williams at home to Bournemouth. I mean, I've seen worse news. That
Nico.
sounds very Doyle to me.
I knew you were going to say that. I literally knew what you were going to say as well. Then, like, because I saw the same thing for half a second. Because you just look who's playing Bournemouth, who's playing Forest. Like, it's like they're playing
at home as well. The City ground to be rocking.
That is tempting. It is tempting.
I think your wildcard overall looks decent. I think it's pretty much what you'd be picking. The only changes I'd make, I don't think I'd go with Sterling. I'd downgrade him to maybe like Zaha or someone, and then use that money to upgrade Stones to Cancelo probably. But we'll see.
Because week 7, I'm looking a bit ahead here, though. But you've got loads of caps for that week because Jesus got Everton at home. You got Chelsea have got Fulham away, so you got Sterling for that as well. So you've got enough for week 7. It's just that week 6 is a real problem, I think.
Josh will still be captaining Kane away at Man City that week. Week 7 probably. Triple captain maybe. He's got extra space to run into, On the counter, they'll love it. It'd be a 4-3, wouldn't it?
He battered them last year. Him and Son absolutely demolished them last year.
Yeah,
they scored about 4 each.
I'll tell you what, you're talking yourself into it now. Kane captain all the way.
Yeah, I've got the best captain for week 6 anyway, with Kane at home to Fulham, so I'm absolutely fine. I'll take anyone on. Could it be a week for a? No, I don't think so. I don't think the derby's a week for a Salah rest actually, but I'm thinking more Wolves the week after might be a Salah rest if anything, if they get some players back at all.
Yeah, I think obviously Doyle won't have Salah, but for week 6, I'd be more than happy to captain Salah in the derby. I don't think Everton look very good at all, and it should be a good game.
It looks all right.
Yeah, I think that's the good thing about Salah. I think he's a more than good captain option for 5, 6, and 7. Like, he's fine for all 3 of those weeks, but I actually don't think he's the best for any of them, which makes it really interesting. So yeah.
And I know I said a bit about this earlier. As we do go on with the game weeks and we get closer to World Cup, because he ain't playing, I think he is likely to play most of the games for Liverpool. So again, as a captain option, when you got Haaland worried about rotation and stuff, I know he ain't going to the World Cup as well, but just his fitness is a bit of an issue. Whereas obviously Salah's a bit of a machine, so he's generally more inclined to play 90 minutes. And obviously, even this weekend, Klopp played him for 90.
Yeah, lots of thinking to do, I think.
Stay tuned to Twitter to find out Doyle's final wild card this week, eh?
Yeah, I think the big one's going to be Kane or no Kane. It's going to be my decision, I think.
Yeah. Would that be at the expense of Sterling then to get the funds?
No, Sterling is staying. Sterling will not be moving from the team.
Okay.
getting the funds, it'll be some defensive moves because I've currently still quite heavy at the back there. So I'm quite happy to downgrade a bit of that. Like Trent, I'm still not sold on Trent. But I think if it wasn't for the fact that Newcastle have lost so many men, and as I said at the start of the episode, because they've got so many injuries, it makes it way better to have Trent, if you see what I mean. But after that, the fixtures aren't great. I mean, they've got Newcastle and Everton, which are two very good fixtures. And then it goes quite iffy for Liverpool. So I'd have been quite tempted to try and fade that if it weren't for those. But yeah.
Should we move on to the beer bets?
Yeah, let's
We've definitely overrun tonight, but to be fair, there's only like 1 day turnaround in between today and tomorrow. So I don't know how many people are actually going to view, and we're having a laugh talking about it. And Doyle needs to help with his wildcard, so why not?
Yeah, my battery's going to die in a minute, boys. We ain't got long, so I'll go first. I've got a good one. Doyle might not take this one actually, but I think Mohamed Salah will blank at home to Newcastle this week.
I'll take it.
Yeah, I'll take that as well.
There's my first one. On to you, John.
Go on, do Doyle first, because as always, I'm last minute.
I think that Bournemouth will get a result against Wolves.
I'll take that.
I'll take.
So you get the draw as well.
Yeah.
He's putting an odds-on shot on there.
No, I was saying about Palace beating Man City last week.
Go on then, John. Your one.
Should I make it Kane related?
Yeah. What, 3 or 4 goals?
You wish.
We've lost Josh.
All right, this week I will go for one that I had before, hot off his hat trick, Haaland. As long as he starts, I'll give you as long as he starts, Cancelo to outscore him this week.
I'll take that, please.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah. So related to that one, actually, mine was, I think Man City will score 6 or more against Forest.
I'll take that.
Yeah, I'll take it. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
I think that very easily, but it's a good one. Then it's my last one. I will have Heung-min Son to outscore Harry Kane this week when I swap them on Wildcard.
Are you trying to rinse us here? Like I'm saying, absolutely outrageous ones, and you're taking even money shots for every bet.
I had 20-1 last week with Palace.
He's taking like odds-on shots.
Yeah.
More just the fact that it's just sod's law, isn't it? I'll swap Son and Kane on the wild card, and Son is definitely going to outscore Kane. It's just.
I'll tell you what, Doyle can have Son, and I'll have Richarlison to outscore Kane.
Yeah,
so whichever one starts.
Never mind anything else.
Yeah, I'll take both of those. Yeah, that's fine.
Actually, I'll tell you what we do. Whichever 2 wingers start, Doyle can have Son, because he's obviously done the business for him so far this season, and I'll have Kulu to outscore Kane.
Yeah, and then if Richarlison comes in for one of them, you get Richarlison instead.
Exactly. So whoever Richarlison comes in for, then that person gets him, and you get Kane against both.
I'll stick with Harry Kane. I mean, he's only scored their last 5 goals, so I'm like, I'm not sure, but I'll risk it with Harry Kane. Yeah.
I mean, I don't want it, but I'll do it for a bit of fun.
Okay, well, I guess that'll do it. I think an hour and a half podcast with less than 24 hours turnaround. I think.
Yeah, about 5 minutes. Doyle will be up to about 4 a.m. editing. That's absolutely fine. Yeah. And just to say, Doyle scooped the prop bets last week. He absolutely crushed us last week. So
unbelievably as well, I had Palace to draw or beat Man City. I was messaging you after 30 minutes, thinking about what beers or cocktails I was going to get. I couldn't believe it.
All we see at the end of the season is a big L in the column. Unfortunately, it's just an L, mate. It's like
that's not the way it went, though. That's not how it went down.
Man City always give the other team a 2-0 head start just to like make it feel like there's a debate who's going to win the title. Like just like as we know, I already gave it to them in week 2. So
I couldn't believe it. I was lauding it. I was like walking around the front room doing the Conor McGregor, like, yeah, look at me, 2-0 Palace. Man City. God, I know my stuff, don't I? 20 minutes later, 4-2. Unbelievable.
Oh god.
Right, should we leave it there then, guys?
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
one.
All right,
Cheers,
then.
everyone.
You need to do your like and subscribe, Josh.
Oh, yes, I forgot my only job for the podcast. Please, will everyone like and subscribe the video in the 5 hours you've got to watch it before the game week 5 deadline.
And then watch the new one and then like and subscribe again.
Yeah, we'll probably do another one for week 5, so going into week 6. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's a
like
nice
and
fun
subscribe
one,
that one as well. Yeah, shall I just do the like and subscribe for like the next 5 videos, just in case I forget to do it on any of those? Like, yeah, can you please like and subscribe the next 5 videos, please? Is that all right? Thank you.
And point somewhere so Doyle can edit it as well. That'll give him an extra job to keep him up an extra 30 minutes.
No chance. That button could be anywhere. That subscribe button could be anywhere on the
Just
screen.
here. Just if you can hit this button here, everyone.
Right, that's enough. That's enough. Get us out.
That's
of here.
enough. See you
All right.
later, boys.
Thanks for
All right.
listening, everyone.
Have a good one. Bye.
ya.
Bye.